Okay, we're all set, Sue.
Okay, I move to start the board meeting, the Youth Commission meeting on June 8th at 7:06, 2021. Marguerite, do you want to read?
Oh my God. I don't have it right here. Why don't
I
you
can
read?
read it. I
You have
can
a
read it
lovely
then.
voice. That'll be good. Thank you.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order, imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Southborough Youth Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so in the following manner. No person in attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will put on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay, so I continue to go on down the agenda. I move to approve the minutes of the meeting on May 12th, 2021.
Second that motion.
I have,
You have questions?
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yes, there's a few things about the minutes that I noticed, with all due respect to our lovely secretary who works so
That's
hard.
fine.
So there were only 4 of us at the meeting, not 5 of us, and 5 people were listed.
Oh, like who did I miss?
I don't think Susan was there, and
Okay.
she's listed as being there.
Okay.
And also, so the director's report was for April, not March.
Okay.
And then I was wondering, I wanted to ask you guys about the strategic planning discussion, because we didn't talk about it when we reviewed the director's report. We talked about it later in the meeting, but in the minutes, it looks like we talked about it during the review of the director's report. And to me also, it looks like we didn't just talk about it, but we actually did those things that were listed. When I read through it, it read to me like we were doing those things. So I don't know what anybody else thought when they read through it. I just wrote my note. My note says, as written, it reads as though the commission created the draft of the strategic planning goals at our meeting. So I don't know what other people think about that.
I can edit that if people want. What do people, I actually, when I was writing the notes, we did talk about the strategic planning towards the end of the meeting, but it didn't make sense putting, it was kind of sitting there. And so I put it where we had it, because we said we'd loop back. So I put it where I thought it should go. But if you would like me to move it to the end, it just was kind of in an awkward place, because I think I don't know why we loop back to it at that point, but.
I've seen it done both ways. It can, sometimes the minutes put it back where it would be according to the agenda. And other times people choose to do the minutes actually the way it occurred. So it's 6 of one is half a dozen of the other, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm fine with it. If unless you are all not fine with it, and then we can have Sarah edit it.
Well,
Fine with
the
it.
the placement was part of it, but also just, I don't know what other people think when they read it, but to me, if I was reading it, if I wasn't at the meeting and I was reading it, I would have thought that those things were done during the meeting, not just having a discussion about those things. So I don't know what other people think.
I'll read it over. I don't have it with me right now. But yeah, I don't know I usually take notes verbatim, so it could have just been misconstrued or something. So I'm happy to look it over if you'd like me to do that.
Yeah, that's why I was asking what other people thought, because maybe it's just me, but I didn't know what other people thought.
Okay, so I move that we accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
Have they been amended? We haven't seen an
No,
amendment.
as they will be amended, with those
Okay.
amendments made.
So don't we have to see it first to approve? them?
No, you don't. If you understood that, that's what it's going to be.
I'd be happy to edit them and then send them to you, Beth, for your review.
Okay, sure. That would be great. Thank you so much.
Okay, we have to take a roll call too, I think,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Lauren Ritchie.
I have to abstain. I wasn't there.
Oh, that's right. Beth.
Technically, you can vote on minutes even if you weren't there, though.
Okay. I don't know how that works, but I read them and didn't have any questions. So should I? I think I feel better about abstaining.
Okay. Sarah Micus?
Approve as amended.
Susan there?
No, I wasn't there either, unfortunately, so do you need me to, do you need my vote for one way or the other?
Well, Marguerite's saying that we can vote on them once Sarah looks at them again. I don't know if that's.
Why don't we just table the minutes and bring them back to the meeting next time and then vote on them when we'll see how they actually, the final form. How's that? Is everybody happy with that?
I think that's a great idea because they don't need to be posted for 45 days. So we will have a chance to revisit them. And I really will have to look at the strategic planning part too and compare it to my notes to determine exactly what Beth is concerned about. So.
Okay, I move to table the minutes of the May 12th, 2021 until our next meeting.
Second.
Just wanted to say I was not at the meeting, but when I reviewed the minutes, I also did not have any questions. It seemed to be clear to me because it fell within the director's report. But I understand the misunderstanding, how you could have read into it the way you did, Beth, but when I read it, I fully understood it. So just wanted to make mention of that.
Okay, we got a second on tabling them. So do we have to vote on that too? Do we have to take a roll call? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Lauren,
Aye.
thank you. Beth,
Aye.
Sarah Micus,
Aye.
Susan Bear,
Aye.
Marguerite Landry,
Aye.
Leslie Hatton,
Aye.
and Susan Butka, aye. Okay, the second thing on the agenda is the director's report. Does anyone have any questions for Sarah on the director's report?
happy to highlight things if you want me to start with that first.
Why don't you give us your top 5? I don't know who's calling me. Top 5 items that you did this past month.
Sure. I would say the biggest thing is Mental Health Awareness Month happened last month. So it was not our usual offering of programming, but we did our best, and Shannon worked very hard on it and was able to successfully put in place a number of things, which are outlined on the first page there. So that's between some outreach opportunities and some non-event kind of things like the Neighborhood Happiness Project. There was a community read and so on. So I would say, again, while it wasn't our usual offering, it was successful given the constraints that we were under. Actually, I wrote down that camperships were finalized in the month of May. For me, I'm not 100% sure if all of the checks went out technically in May or if they've gone out. I know that they've all gone out as of now, but that could have been in the first week of June. So camperships, that's okay. Camperships have been paid, or invoices have been paid, which is great. The strategic plan is being finalized. So there's a lot of work down on my end to review many pages of information, make sure people's names are spelled correctly and that things are described accurately. So that's what I'm trying feverishly to finish right now. And then I would say the other thing is which I've talked about a couple of times over the last couple of board meetings, is our return to in-person services. So as of now, we have been having people come in to the office for appointments. Do we have an unruly dog back there?
Yes. Zoe has a puppy. So. Oh,
sorry, I got distracted.
It was chasing the other dogs.
Oh, that's great. So returning to in-person services, really trying to prepare for that. We started out prioritizing folks who needed safety assessments, who had acute symptoms. And now we're moving in the direction of preparing to offer in-person services for anyone that wants it. So, so that is more in the month of June than in the month of May, but we did some preparation. And then I also highlighted, as we head into the summer months, things usually slow down quite a bit. However, last year, as Megan was just pointing out, was that just this morning, Megan, about how last summer was actually quite busy because so much of what we were doing was virtual. We could schedule appointments with people just about any time, which made us much busier. We expect this summer might resemble what summer typically looks like, but in terms of upcoming things in the month of June, you may all be aware that June is Pride Month. And so we are working with Melissa Clark, who is the co-founder and president of GSA Link. That's an organization that supports LGBTQ plus youth. And we have a number of Southborough youth that participate in some of their programs. And so she's coming to do an ally training with us, and we decided to open it to the community. So that's happening on June 21st. And I believe
I saw that. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, she's fantastic. If anybody wants to sort of get a, I'm losing words tonight. If somebody wants to get a taste for, Melissa's style, she was our very first coffee talk episode, very first live coffee talk guest. So if you look on our website, you can, she has a really beautiful story to tell.
Sarah, what was her name again? Melissa
Clark,
Clark, and what organization is she with?
GSA Link.
GSA Link, okay.
Yep.
And it's open to the public, is this virtual?
It's going to be in person, actually. As
Okay.
you all remember, we've had plenty of discussion about how people have been, we've had a hard time getting people to attend things virtually. And so we really wanted to try to make this as conducive as possible. So we are trying to do it in person. As of right now, the plan is to have it at the pavilion at Fayetteville Park, under the pavilion. We were trying a few different options. We didn't want to have to say that if it's nice weather, it will be here, and if it's bad weather, it will be in this alternate location. We were worried that would create a lot of confusion. So our hope is that that setting will work no matter the weather, hopefully. So if we have to pivot, we can. We will have, there is a registration requirement, so we will have the contact information for anybody who's planning to attend.
I think Christina did send us the link to sign up if we wanted to attend too, so.
Yeah, it would be great. It's a fantastic, she did a small scale training for us. What was that, Megan? Like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago at this point? Something like that.
I think it was right before the pandemic.
Okay.
I feel like, so.
Sarah, would it be possible to record this for people to watch? Because I would love to do it. I'm going to be out of town. But if it could be a webinar or something that we could.
Well, with it being in person, that would be more challenging, but
Are the video service like
it's possible. It's possible. Yeah, we could maybe see if Southborough Access Media would be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be very interested in that. I'm feeling sad that I can't be there.
Sure. Let me just write myself
And if
down.
it could be a good link on the Facebook page or for other people to access it.
Mhm.
I know I've gotten, a lot of people have gotten kind of used to being able to access content after the fact.
Yeah, yep. That's the one downside, this is
I
so
know.
much give and take. So that's happening on the 21st. I lost all my tabs here. We also plan we've been invited, even though we don't co-sponsor it anymore, Recreation has invited us to do some outreach at the summer concerts and their movies this summer. So if anybody's interested, Christina plans to attend most of those because she's already planning to attend those anyway. And really, again, I'm looking forward to, we'll talk about this later on in the agenda, I'm sure, but I'm looking forward to going over in more detail with you all about the strategic plan, because one of the things that has come out of that is to try to find monthly opportunities to do outreach in the community, to do more to make the community aware that we even exist. So we took Rec's offer to come to the concerts and the movies to do.
And I thought your participation in town meeting under a table or on a table there with the bags was a great idea.
Yeah,
They give you so much paperwork at the town meeting that we could put the paperwork in there too. So that was great to see you there.
Yeah, that was a good example. And actually, we didn't even plan that, but the bags turned out to be kind of an ingenious thing to offer at town meeting because there's so much paperwork to take home with you. So So thank you to Marguerite, who stood there with me for a while, helping to hand out water bottles and bags. That was great.
I know I picked up some meals at the senior center after that for meal caregivers, and they gave me one of your bags with
Oh,
some
that's great.
stuff in it. So they had some extras that they were using.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I don't know if you even knew that, but
Well, we did give them, you know, that's highlighting some other things that happened in May in terms of outreach. We had made a specific flyer for seniors' mental health for Mental Health Awareness Month, and they had a couple of events coming up. And while we weren't invited to go to the events because they have a certain number capacity that they're allowed, they were happy to hand out the bags for us, which was great. So, so really, you know, the upcoming, the rest, you know, coming up this summer, we're going to be doing a lot more in terms of making plans for the next school year and adjusting to having the building open and returning to full in-person services with everybody. We really haven't had an opportunity to fully integrate Christina, our admin assistant, into our operations because we haven't had a lot of full-on consistency with who's in the building at what particular time, but we're moving in that direction now. So, so that'll be exciting to see what that looks like. It was kind of funny because she answered a phone call that came in and it was for Megan. And she was so professional. Megan was actually in my office using my room for an appointment because it's the one that's the biggest. We're still keeping social distance for our appointments, of course. And so I was working in the same room as her and she answered, Southborough Youth and Family Services, how may I help you? And it was a call from Megan. She said, just one moment, I'll transfer you. And she put the person on hold and then she said, how do I transfer people? I don't know. Because it's kind of new, you know, but she very quickly looked up on YouTube how to use their system, and so she's very well adept at using it now, which was great. So, but it's kind of silly things like that you know we haven't had a chance to navigate yet. So all of that being said, with the highlights, I don't know if anybody has questions on the director's report.
Did you get any, I'm sorry, I was just.
No, go ahead, Leslie, go ahead.
Did you get any feedback on the initiatives that were done in Mental Health Awareness Month? Because I thought there were a lot of really great ideas that came up, and I'm hoping that maybe you'll choose to continue some of them into the future.
Well, let's see. I can't say, I mean, there was positive feedback about handing out our bags at town meeting because it was, you know, conducive to what people needed at the time. And it was a smart way to also hand out information. So I did enjoy doing the outreach. I can't say, well, I do think the other thing that really went over well, and actually I should share with you all, I can share my screen. I have a picture of the flower arrangements. So the Laurie Sugarman Whittier Wellness Award, we had Chelsea Bradway come on Coffee Talk with us to highlight her as this year's recipient. Christina, on behalf of the Friends of the Southborough Youth Commission, picked up floral arrangements for all of the nominees at Gulbenkian's, which was a nice to be able to support a local business. I'm just trying to find my email.
So I went on the hike.
Oh, you did?
Oh, good. How was it, Beth?
It was lovely.
Yeah.
So when our guide was explaining, you know, at the beginning and introducing herself, she kind of forgot to say something about youth and family. So I raised my hand and I did. So
Yeah.
that was
Oh,
good.
that's great.
And a couple of people asked me, you know, not everybody knows, and not everybody in town knows that about this department. So a couple people did ask me questions, and that was cool. It was a
That's
lovely
great.
hike. It
Great.
was very, very hot, but
Yeah.
still it was lovely.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's nice to hear how it went.
Yeah.
I've heard a couple of other people say something about the Hope Walk over at Chestnut Hill Farm. I know Liz Caprillion, when I delivered her flowers to her yesterday as she was nominated, and wanted to really extend our thanks to her. She talked about the Rotary Club, their first in-person get-together since last year was they did the Hope Walk together, which I thought was really sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
I'll show you really quickly. These are the floral arrangements that were
beautiful.
sent to each of the.
Oh, very pretty.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
Really nice.
yeah. And
Beautiful.
so we had a letter that went to them, and then I also made a little card. So the letter actually was the same letter from last year, which had Sue's. It was from Sue as on behalf of the board. And then I wrote a card from the department just to express thanks also. So they were very well received. I've gotten a couple of emails today expressing thanks and surprise. We actually, for a few people, did not let them know that this had happened. So they showed up at work that day and had a bouquet of flowers waiting for them, which was kind of nice. So
Very nice.
yeah. But I guess to go back to your question, Leslie, I don't have any other direct feedback from anybody on any of the other. I don't know if any of you do, if you heard of anybody engaging in.
Well, I participated in the Neighborhood Happiness Project.
You did, yeah.
My girls and I made like 12 mini bouquets.
Yeah.
Got some canning jars, and I brought them to some neighbors and some people, like some friends and some people around town, including people that I didn't know, and just left the little note that it was the Happiness Project. And I thought it was awesome. I didn't actually, I mean, I heard from the people that I knew and they thanked me, but I don't know specifically whether they passed it on. But I thought it was a really nice thing that was done this month.
It's a great idea. It was a
Yeah,
great idea.
The preschool, we made, we got wooden discs and we painted smiley faces on them, and we were be happy, and we hung them on a string, and Haley delivered them to the senior housing and also people that she does Meals on Wheels for. So they were well received, and I think a nice surprise for our elderly community. So
very nice.
And for the kids, Sarah.
Yes.
And for the
Oh my
preschool.
gosh, they loved making them, and they were like, they wanted to be a factory. So next year we'll have hundreds. So
And Lauren, I know you had put something together for your neighbors too. I think you had sent us a picture.
Right, I had done that. Some little clay smiley faces and some little cards that when you open them up, they have little happy thoughts in them.
Oh, that's great.
Very cool.
Yeah, I really liked that. I hope we continue that one.
I think we don't need to just do it in May too. I think to surprise somebody any time of the year like that would be
I agree, but I think that's one of the programs over time will gain momentum.
Exactly.
Just like your Secret Santa and your booing or whatever, what do they call that? Ghosting and Halloween.
Ghosting, yeah.
Well, I will make sure to put that on Shannon's radar that you guys thought it went over well and that would love to see it happen again next year.
And I saw that there was something in the Harbinger too. I didn't read that article, but I saw it in your report.
I don't know. I don't have access to the hard copy, and I know that you can go online and access the hard copy, but when I did that, it was an old.
I have a copy of it. I can check. I can grab it now if you want me to.
Sure. Yeah, we were interviewed for it, but
Oh, nice.
whether or
Missed that.
not we
We'll be
made
right
the
back.
cut is another.
I would
is
hope
another-
you would make the cut for that month.
Yeah, we'll see.
For
We'll
that
see. I
topic.
think it was kind of the deadline was coming up fast, so we got the information, excuse me, in as quickly as we could. But if we didn't make the deadline, that might have been a reason not why it's not in there. But we were interviewed for it, so we'll see. We'll see what Leslie finds out. Are there any other questions on the director's report or comments?
It sounds like the strategic plan is really being very useful.
Yes, definitely. I'm finding it very useful. I'm like I said, I'm feverishly trying to get it done because I think it will be so useful that I'd like everybody to have the final copy in hand to reference as a helpful roadmap. So I'm just trying to, there's a worksheet that's called a metrics worksheet. And so for there's 51 strategies in all. And so for every strategy, I'm working on figuring out where are we operating from currently with regard to whatever it is that we're talking about in that strategy. What do we hope to use to measure our success? What do we hope to do in the next year? And then what do we hope to do annually? And it's just a lot, it's very thought-provoking and trying to predict what the next year and beyond will look like. But for 51 strategies, that's why it's taking me so long. But.
I have the Harbinger, but this is the senior issue. I didn't
No.
see it in here, unless it's.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been in the senior issue, I don't
Okay,
believe.
it'd be the prior issue to this. I'm sorry, I don't have
No,
that.
that's okay. That's all right. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll investigate it further to see, or I'll share it with you all if I find it. Okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
I just wanted to circle back just to the strategic plan. I know that you're working diligently on finalizing. What is your projected deadline for a completed, approved strategic plan? And who has to approve it?
Well, it's not that it's being approved, it's being finalized.
Okay.
So it's been vetted by, or it's a collaborative effort by the strategic planning committee.
Okay.
Just making sure that, with so much discussion and so much information, that all of it is in there. And again, the last piece that I'm working on, the plan itself is pretty much done. And you all have seen probably the meat and potatoes of the plan, which is the goals and the strategies that are outlined. But there's some introductory information, some data to back up why our goals are what they are. And then there's also some really interesting information. We have some appendices in there about some conversations that came out of the focus groups without identifying people in the focus groups. There's also, we'll be including the needs assessment data. So when you ask me what the deadline is, I looked at my watch because any minute now, the goal is to finish it this week.
Okay.
And further down, I don't know, Sue, if it's okay for us to skip forward, or I'll just preview this where you see under other business, it says strategic plan presentation.
Yeah.
Once this is finished, I would like to ask Anne, who is the strategic consultant, to come and do a presentation.
Great.
And I wanted to discuss the scheduling of that with you all, because I'd love for as many board members to attend as possible, to have an opportunity to ask questions. And
I definitely think that would be important to do for the board if we can figure that out.
yeah. So I have some details from her on when, and we can visit that further down in the, but that will be sort of the cherry on the Sunday is when we do the presentation. That means that we can fully move forward with utilizing this plan as a roadmap for the next 3 to 5 years. And some of the work actually has already started, so which is great.
So should we go back to the donation account expenditure approval?
I actually don't have any requests this time around.
Okay. Well, that was easy.
Mhm.
Leslie, how about the Friends report?
Okay, so I just have to mention that I submitted this to Christina before I read Sarah's minutes of what was covered last month, because I wasn't in that meeting. And I know some of these items are duplicate of what you already covered, Sue, because you did such a great job.
Oh, thanks. I don't know about that, but thanks.
But one of the things that we touched on that Sue mentioned last time around was that Friends, Chelsea Malinowski approached us about the idea of doing some community outreach, possibly greeting new families that move to town, or somebody that has a baby, or someone that, a family that's in need, kind of taking on a role of just being more welcoming and reaching out to people. And not to put you on the spot, Sue, but I reviewed my notes and you said that someone mentioned that the town clerk's office was doing
Yeah, so
some of this.
I spoke to Jim. Well, Jim and I played phone tag, but his message to me was they were trying to do that and they weren't getting a good count from real estate agents and other folks about who were, who were the new residents in town.
Okay.
So I think that is something that we could do to promote the department too, if we can figure out how to do that. And figure out, like you said, new parents, new people moving in.
Yeah, so if any of you have any ideas on that, please feel free to offer them. Yeah, it was kind of something that would be mutually beneficial. It would get the word out to people that we do exist, especially the newer families or the younger families, and it could attract some new volunteers, because Chelsea said she had a lot of friends in kinder group, for instance, that were just looking for ways to get involved. So I don't want to harp on this because I know Sue mentioned it last time, but if any of you do have any thoughts on this, feel free to either mention it now or email me or Sue or Lauren.
Chelsea's thoughts were, when we did these focus groups too for the strategic planning, that she felt, and I'm so far removed from that group, that there was a group of moms with children that were preschool age that were not really feeling welcome. So if we could figure out how to reach them, like the kids weren't in the school system yet, both parents are working, they're not in kinder group, and there isn't
Can I recommend something then?
Sure.
Maybe we need to, I mean, you're more than welcome to come. Maybe Friends comes and does a presentation too. It's been a weird year. Next year, hopefully will be different, and we would be able to have a parents' night where you could do some outreach to the new families. Because I agree, I think that there's a lot of untapped volunteerism in that group, and there's a ton of new families in town. There's been a lot of turnover in houses, as you know, and I'm constantly hearing, drum beats on the Southborough Care and Share, like we're new in town. We want to get connected to some organizations and things. So maybe you could go to a couple of the preschools, daycares. I think you can also get new home sales online. Like look at.
Well, they're crazy right now too.
Yeah, but I think they have to post transactions, don't they?
Well, they used to, like even in a newspaper, So
yeah, I would imagine
Well,
that data has to be somewhere because we have to know, the town has to know who lives where and, for tax assessments and things like that. So I do think that besides the real estate brokers, we should be able to get our finger on the pulse of new homes and who bought them.
Sarah, maybe you want to join our, I'm not asking you to be a friend because you already are a friend.
I'm always a friend.
But maybe you could come to our next friends meeting.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea because some of those people, those kids are the oldest kids. So, they've got a 3-year-old and then some younger ones, or that's their only child too. So she really did mention that was an issue. And this planning thing that we did, there was a lot of, I felt like loneliness in certain residents and not a real welcoming feeling is one of the things that we learned. So
yeah,
that's
as far as on my Southborough Weekly, it lists what houses have the sale of each houses, but it doesn't, of course, say the name of the people who are moving in. But you have to be careful, Sue, at the Friends that you don't have a quorum.
Right.
So, yeah. But I do agree. I have thought for a long time that we do need to reach out to preschool families, because once they're in school, they can find out about us, through the nurse or whatever. And but before they get into school, it's really hard to make connections in town. It really is very difficult.
So that can be a goal for us, Leslie, too. We can talk about that some more. But
that's great.
Has anybody ever gone to Kindergroup and done a presentation? I know they're aware of our organization, but maybe we need to make this a annual or biannual kind of thing.
Sarah's raising her hand. Sarah Catherine.
Yes.
I just was going to say this was a while ago, and we've maybe have more traction now, but Laurie Sugarman Whittier and I actually tried to do quite a bit of work with Kindergroup a while back. We showed up at several of their meetings to do a presentation / just talk and network with people, and at the time it wasn't super well received. So I think I'm sure it's a brand new, whole new crop of parents now by now, but it would be great. I think it's important to sort of start slow, because when they get to these meetings, they're there with the plan in mind. And so, I think that we weren't necessarily well received because they were looking forward to socializing with the other moms and kind of getting a little bit of a break. And so here we come with our pamphlets and stuff. And so as long as we can do some preparation ahead of time so they know we're coming, that certainly helps.
Right. And Chelsea's young, and she's a selectman, and she is our go-to person for the department for youth and family. So she does know that group of moms, and even if she's not friendly with them because of social media and what she's hearing. So it's good to get that perspective too. And then there's me, the old broad. But it's nice to hear from all the different groups. It is, and what the needs are. So
Kindergroup is, I haven't looked at their website recently, but maybe about a year ago, and it's it is specifically for stay-at-home moms. So if both parents are working,
you can
they would definitely feel more disconnected to the town because they just don't have time. And
Because they have to
don't know
work.
about-
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
it's changed since I was in there, but used to not be able to, because some people would try and send a babysitter to kinder group with their kids, and then they didn't go, and there was like, no, you're not gonna.
Yeah,
You're not gonna do that.
It is a private club. It's not a, town organization.
Right,
But
and
it's
I know
something,
everybody on
something.
my street that has young children, and they both work. There is no way for them to go to a kindergarten.
Right.
Well, and I think that's a group that feels very dislocated, and this could be for another discussion, but we have a lot of new families in town. We have a lot of families, young families that both parents work. We get it at the preschool all the time, and they feel very disconnected. And
Right.
so I don't know how we address that in the future in terms of our outreach as a departmental organization, but also as friends, and be inviting and inclusive and what have you. So I think we'll have to have further discussions. I'd be happy to come to Friends as in helping come up with a community outreach plan for you guys with you.
That's great. That's
All
great. Our next meeting is Tuesday, June 15th at 7 p.m.
And we'll be looking for you, Sarah.
Yeah, Tuesday, June 15th. At what time?
7 o'clock.
Okay.
And I'll make sure Kathy Cook sends you the Zoom link.
Yeah, I'll have to check my calendar because it's kind of crazy for next week, but I will definitely make an effort. Where
And
do
if
you
You
guys?
can't make that one.
If you can't make it, we can at least use your ideas. So
Oh,
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no. You guys Zoom, right?
yes.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, send me a link and I'll let you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
It seems like there's two problems or issues that the new people in town are having. And one is to tell them about what Youth and Families offers. But the other is, I mean, all you really need when you move into a place and you're new is to find two people who are sort of friendly to you that are kind of like, it only takes two, right?
I agree.
So the problem is partly to find people that they can bond with and feel like they've got somebody to talk to who's nearby. And then the other one is the other part of it is to see how much the Friends and the Youth and Families offerings would be useful. It's like two kind of separate things.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, well, I think we're hoping that through the connections, it will get the word out that we have, we have these services available to all of us. It's threefold: help new families or people in need, community outreach, getting the word out that we exist and this is what we do, and 3, get more interest of people that want to help out and volunteer with the Friends and fundraise and etc. So I don't really have a whole lot else because we haven't met since prior to the last board meeting. Sarah, do you have anything? I mean, I have the updated grant balances that we could go over briefly.
Send that to me. Do you want me to share that?
Yeah, if you could. Okay, so Christina has been doing an excellent job keeping these balances up to date. Every week she sends a weekly report of the grant, the amounts that have either come in, but in this case, at this point, it's all amounts that have been expended. and a current balance. And then she sends that to Kathy Cook, who's the treasurer of the Friends Group. And the two of them reconcile. So we know now we're working with good numbers. And so this is just a quick snapshot of where we stood on Friday. I know some checks have been written since to pay for the flowers, but I guess actually that would have come out of the other bucket of money, out of the unrestricted funds. So because we added another week of camperships, the Friends Group approved a third week. So, but we were able to do that for the 11,281. And actually, from Christina's report at the bottom of this, I just outlined which camps, these are all the camps. This highlights which camps the kids are going to and where the checks were written. What is SEDP, Sarah? The bottom one here. Do you know? I was just curious.
You're muted, Sarah.
I was trying to figure out how to unmute myself when I'm only this big. That is Southborough Extended Day Program.
Oh, extended day. Okay. All right. So that just gives us an idea, but that was, we were able to do a third week this year, which was really nice.
That's awesome. I just think that's wonderful.
No, it's great. It's
Especially
great,
after
and I
such a
also
tough year.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, you let the kids get out and play together, and the parents don't have to worry. I think it's
Absolutely.
awesome.
But we will be needing to do some fundraising for next year, because we will not be able to count on the money coming from SCF going forward. So, and everything else is hasn't really changed significantly since our last time I went through all these. I mean, the emergency fund money is continuing to be used, but that money will be replenished most likely by the community fund with the grant process that starts up in September. Does anyone have any questions? I think Sue touched on the with respect to holiday giving. There was some concern expressed that it didn't there were families that felt excluded or could feel excluded because it's traditionally been thought of as a Christmas giving program. So we're giving some thought to either changing the name or broadening the target group. We want everyone to feel included. So we're just kind of tweaking that, thinking maybe the application could be changed. But that's to be determined, and we probably will touch on that this coming month.
Megan, do you have any thoughts on that, Megan, about changing the name of the holiday giving program? Sarah kind of told us how she feels. I was wondering what you thought.
I'm trying to think how much. I haven't been super involved in the conversations about that, but I think in general there's kind of a need for like everyone, and we want everyone to feel like they can be included in the program. And if for any reason they're thinking holiday equals Christmas, and I know also in terms of holidays, we also, sometimes it automatically goes with like gifts, and there's a lot more involved at holiday times too. So maybe if you're thinking, I don't know what the name might be changed to, but if it's just a giving program or something like that, that people might be more likely to ask for help if they are not only thinking, okay, this is only for Christmas and it's only for gifts. So I think looking at changing the name and maybe changing the way we are presenting it, if we're worried about people not approaching us for help, makes sense if everyone is thinking.
And we did talk about that too, because then the buckets, it wouldn't just be for that. So if we're short on money for some other thing, like camperships or some other need that the department has or family has, that we could pull from that if we change the name. So anyway, it's just something that we're discussing.
Yeah.
Are there any other towns that have a similar kind of giving program that have got different names for it?
I don't know.
There are other towns that have similar programs, but are sort of equally in the same spot as we are. I know holiday giving is on there, as well as camperships for a potential to make some changes. If it's okay with you all, given that this is part again of the strategic plan, goal number
Okay.
2 is to evaluate our current programs and service provision.
Mhm.
I would love to sort of maybe table this and tackle a couple of these at a time with you guys.
Sure.
It's a little challenging. I'm curious too, because it feels like it's, and I guess I would defer to you all on what your thoughts were, but it feels like it's both a board and a friends of decision, because, the board oversees and advises the department, and friends holds the money for these things. So I wonder if it would make sense to have a joint meeting with friends and the board to specifically discuss some changes. So we'd be happy to share with you what our thoughts are, and then as sort of a starting point for the conversation, and then see where it goes from there. Because we have thoughts on making some adjustments to camperships as well.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, so that's all I had. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. I don't know if it's Lauren and Jen Garden have been doing a nice job keeping the Facebook page updated. I saw that you put the mental health awareness flyers out there. It looks great. And thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Lauren.
Welcome. And Jen Garden has also been, as she said, keeping up with questions that come through the website.
Oh, great. Yes.
The Facebook page. And
yes. So great. That's great.
Okay. If nobody else has any questions for Leslie, why don't we move on to other business? We're going to talk about, summer board meeting dates first.
So I would love to just chime in. I'm sure this is a question on many people's mind about what's happening with board and committee meetings. So I wanted to find out, what you guys wanted to do, but share. So Zoom. Oh, sorry, that was my dog coughing. Okay? The Zoom is still an option up until June 15th. So we're kind of getting in our last board meeting here. When June 15th is when the governor will rescind the emergency declaration. And so several boards and committees are continuing on Zoom for their meetings for the next couple of weeks. But after June 15th, virtual meetings are no longer going to be allowed. And remote participation will go back to the way it was pre-pandemic. So I don't recall, I actually am not familiar with that process much, because I don't think that our board had often had remote participation. But apparently there's a form to be filled out that has to be approved by the chair of the board, etc. All of that being said, the governor has filed a bill to allow Zoom and other things to be put in place as a result of the pandemic to continue until September. And if the legislature acts on the bill before June 15th, then Zoom will continue to be an option until September. I'm just reading further here. The legislature is looking to put legislation in place to dictate the use of virtual meetings, but we don't know right now what the final product will look like or what will be allowed. The other thing to note is that last week, the Board of Selectmen did what they were calling a hybrid meeting where it was both in person and virtual. So obviously there's some IT needs in place for that. And so they did a trial run of that on June 1st. So the Board of Selectmen were there in person, and they were also on their computers, and then there were participants who were logged into the meeting virtually, if that makes sense. So I don't know much more than that, but I just wanted to give you guys an update on what I knew. Mark Purple, the town administrator, is saying that he will be in touch with us in the next couple of weeks to share any other updates. So I'm happy to forward. Actually, I'm just gonna pull up that email.
It should be interesting because if we meet like we used to meet, will someone record our meeting?
Well, it would probably be very similar. So, you know, we're all at home in front of our computers. We probably all would have to have our computer with us or a computer with us in person. We would all sit together with our computers open. I think this is what happens. And then somehow they sync it up so that, you know, because there's always a lag, and I'm not 100% sure. So I'm not even.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
But it would be sort of a hybrid of both occurring at the same time. So we will learn more about that, and I will happily. What I was just looking at is actually you all should have gotten that email from Mark because it was sent to all boards and committee members. So if you're checking your Southborough email, you'll also be getting any updates from him. But I'm happy to forward that over to you guys as well when it comes.
Sarah, if we meet in person, are we required to wear a mask, social distance?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, because we
But
don't know
we can ask.
vaccinated, not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's probably going to be really hard to be on Zoom with a mask.
Yeah.
So I imagine that, you know, if anything, we would be spaced apart.
Spaced apart,
together.
yeah.
I can't, again, I don't want to speculate because I'm not sure.
All right.
And one of the things that I've learned in the last 6 to 8 weeks and is that we, and I know some of you are doing it already now all the time, is that our town email, we need to check our town email all the time. It's the preferred way to communicate. And so I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to do better. And talking to Chelsea and talking to Sarah and also talking with this strategic planning group, I've learned an awful lot too. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there as well.
That's good. And does everybody have their town emails set to forward to their personal email if that's easier for them? It's not.
You have to, nope. So
No, I don't either.
I think they can walk you through it, the IT guy.
Yeah.
I need to do that myself.
It makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, it's so much email. I'm like,
I know.
Get another string of it.
I think that it's important that if they ever need to pull your email for some reason, you'd rather that they just pulled your town email.
Yeah.
And so that's all I have to say about that. Oh, summer board meeting dates. I would prefer to meet in the summer. I think it's important. I think we voted on this in prior years. I don't know how everybody feels about that, but I think that for us to go from June to September, not meeting at all, is not a good thing to do. And Sarah, I don't know if this is the right time to bring this up, but we were talking, whoever gets appointed as an officer tonight, the chair and the co-chair, is this okay to bring this up now, Sarah?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll, yeah, we can talk about it even further.
Down the line. But what we are thinking, and from some other advice that we've gotten, and this is so different than when I first joined this board, or this commission, but that the chair and the co-chair would meet with somebody, hopefully Sarah, and we would go over the agenda with Sarah the week before the meeting, so that when the chair and the co-chair show up to our board meetings, we can run the meeting. We're supposed to be doing that. So we can run the meeting that way and help Youth and Family Services in that way. But by talking to, I know myself that to talk to Sarah a week before and go through everything, and then step into this and not feel so insecure about what you need to do. So anyway, that's a thought as well.
And I guess, Sue, you're bringing that up because we're talking about scheduling meetings.
Yeah.
So I just want to be clear that I don't want to speak for the future chair and co-chair, but in my view, that's the kind of thing that could happen over Zoom, and that doesn't need to be
I agree.
Hugely disruptive to people's schedules, but rather be sort of a proactive conversation to really help the board feel more independent and prepared and be able to run the meetings. And my kids are coming up to bed, and sorry if you can hear that. So
So just about the summer meetings, last summer was the first summer that we had summer meetings, and we did have them last summer.
Was that true, Beth? I thought it was like the year before that I thought we did it before COVID, but I could be wrong.
We had a few here and there in person, I remember, when we were over on Center Street. But I don't know if we had them every month.
So how do you all feel about meeting in the summer?
I'm for it.
I agree. I mean, we might have to get a quorum if people, especially if we can't be virtual.
Right.
If we have to be on site, it might be harder because people have vacations and things. Hopefully everybody's going on vacation. It's about time, and have other family obligations. So I just think we have to be mindful that we need to get the right amount of people on board. So, but I agree. I think that continuity of discussion is important thing. Youth and Family Services still provide services during this period and programs, and I think that we need to not take a vacation too. So
Right. So are we looking at the 13th of July, which is the second Tuesday night in July?
I can do that date.
Would it be helpful to I could ask Christina to send out a doodle poll if that's helpful.
That would be great.
Unless you guys want to use time now to talk about scheduling.
Maybe the doodle poll would work. Lauren and Beth, what are you thinking, Susan?
Well, our day is the second Tuesday of the month, so I don't know why we would have to change it.
Well, just if there's not a lot of people in town.
If there's vacation.
I don't know what people's plans are.
Well, I'll be here.
I
And maybe
don't
you
know
can
what my
easily-
plans will be. So I don't know.
We'll
It
be
was
here.
easy It was easy last year because I actually did attend a Zoom meeting from Hampton Beach last year. But can't the chair approve someone meeting virtually, attending a meeting virtually?
Yes.
That's part of the new job description.
So
somebody
actually,
needed
that's
to do
actually
that, they could-
That's actually always been true, but it's just not something our board has really ever taken advantage of, that you can participate remotely, but there's a form that you have to complete and you have to get it to the chair, I believe, and the chair has to approve your participation remotely, which sounds simple enough. We can look into that further, but.
No, so maybe if she could send out that doodle poll, that would be great. And I also wanted to mention that Leslie, who's done such a great job, is going to leave us, but not really leave us. She's still going to be a
Not
friend.
completely.
Not completely.
I'm going to be a friend and a friend liaison, so I hope to stay involved and try to come to as many meetings as I can to give you the friends updates, etc. But it will give someone else the opportunity to serve as a board member.
I want to thank you
Important.
from all of us. Thank you so
I
much, Leslie.
thoroughly enjoyed it.
We'll miss you.
You all are
Yeah.
such a great group. Well, I'm not going away yet.
All right.
It's kind of my transition period because I wasn't really ready to step down, but I also wasn't ready to sign on for another 3 years. So
I just want to mention, since that's being brought up, well, two things, I guess. So often at the end of the year, we have a get together anyway, and we say thanks to anybody who is not renewing their term. So I don't know if that's in the cards for us this summer. Maybe it could be, but I would echo everybody's thanks, Leslie. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, and I guess I hope that we have an opportunity to thank you even more than doing so over Zoom. Since you've
Yes.
given so
Yeah.
much.
Maybe we could have a picnic outside in the parking lot somewhere.
The parking lot, that sounds.
Not the
lovely,
parking
Sharon.
lot.
I do want to mention that, and you'll notice this is on the strategic plan also, but that we've learned that the selectmen are doing a new recruitment process for board and committee vacancies, much like a job posting, in that they are recruiting specific skill sets for boards and committees, looking for different perspectives. You know, they're asking the boards to share their thoughts on who might be a good addition, and really trying to be more targeted in their recruitment. And they, you know, I know that we have kind of shared amongst ourselves that, you know, it's not always been clear on what the process is to onboard a new board member. So I think they're clarifying that process now, which is very helpful. And I have had a chance to talk to both Sue and Leslie about, I've shared my thoughts on what might be a good skill set to bring to this group, / some perspectives that I think would be really helpful, which also came out of the strategic planning process. But I'll happily share that with you. And if you guys have additional thoughts, the posting hasn't happened yet, so we welcome any additional feedback. But what I had shared with both Sue and Leslie was that bringing somebody on board who works in behavioral health or mental health would be an asset to this group. I also think, given that one of our goals is about diversity, equity, and inclusion, that bringing somebody on board who might identify as a member of the LGBTQ+ community would be a valuable asset to the board, as well as an individual. I don't want to say a person of color. If a person self-identifies as a person of color, then and I think that would be a really valuable asset to our board as well. But somebody who maybe feels as though they're a member of an underserved community, I think would also be a really helpful perspective. So those were my thoughts to put.
Is this all supposed to be one person?
No.
Okay.
No.
Have you ever thought about a guy?
We had a guy
Yeah,
we had Bob for
Yeah.
a long time.
Oh, I never met Bob. Okay.
He was a pediatrician, so it was nice to get, and he was a male, so it was good to get his perspective too. And my thoughts on this, I shared this with Sarah, and maybe not with Leslie, but I think that that's great, because I think that that's that will be helpful to the board and to help the department run well as well. But I also don't want to discourage anybody that doesn't think that they are, because I don't think that when I decided to join that I had any, I didn't really think I had, except that I was a nurse, but which is good, but I wasn't sure if I read that, I wasn't sure if I would feel qualified to be in that position. So I want people to feel like everybody's got something to add too. So yeah.
We are not a very diverse group, if you look
No.
at us all. And I think that that is a really important goal to embrace as we onboard new board members, and to be mindful of being more inclusive. So I don't know how we forge ahead with that, but maybe, we could look at the people we know and feel would be good fits who match some of these strategic plan goals for us to grow as a board. So
I think the process that they're encouraging is that they do this posting, and then they encourage any applicants who are interested in filling the vacancy to reach out to the chair of the board for a preliminary conversation, which sort of acts as like a screening tool in a sense, because some people will be deterred right off the bat from reaching out to the chair of the board. And then after that, I think they go in for an interview with the selectmen. But I agree that adding, I don't want to discount the value of what we all have to contribute to these conversations. So I think we had added a sentence in there about any and all applications will be considered, or something like that.
Right.
So it was just saying, we would value these things, but please don't hesitate to apply if you're interested.
Yeah, I think that's important, because as I pointed out to you when I initially read it, and I did read it a few times, and I'm sorry I didn't get back to you a second time, but I read it kind of the same way Sarah just asked that question. One person has to meet both all those criteria.
Yeah.
And then that's obviously a very narrow scope of people. But I think it's important if you try to make it a little broader and a little more general. And
And I hope we get youth members back.
Yes,
eventually.
yes,
they were great.
Yeah.
definitely.
It's mainly somebody who's compassionate that we need, right?
Yes, I do think that, looking at the board as an advisory group, I definitely think that having the perspective of somebody who works in the mental health field would be a really valuable asset to the group. And I do think also, because compassion is absolutely a piece of it. But I think also, if we're really trying to be more inclusive and that's a goal of ours, then I think we need some, as Sarah pointed out, we're not necessarily the most diverse group, but in this strategic planning process and the needs assessment, we learned there's a lot of diversity in Southborough that's really being
Underserved, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in full agreement there.
Should we go on to the next thing? Or does anybody else
Okay,
have anything
so
to
just
say?
Just to double check, I'm gonna ask Christina, so if everybody feels comfortable with this, just to check to see if we have a quorum for the dates that we would normally meet, which would be the second Tuesday of the month.
That would be
She'll send-
great.
She'll send out a doodle poll for those dates to ensure we have at least 4 board members for those. Does that feel okay? And then if we find out we don't have at least 4, then we will move forward with finding alternate dates for summer months. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great.
Great.
Okay.
Do you want me, I want to tell you all too that it's been great to be chair, but I think I'm not going to run for chair this year. So I want to give somebody else a chance to do that, and I appreciate all of you so much. And is there anyone that wants to? Oh, Sarah, what?
No, you're muted.
Can we go over the job descriptions?
Yes, definitely. Sorry.
That's okay.
You're right. Marguerite, did you end up finding that?
Finding what?
The job descriptions?
No, my system wouldn't open it for some reason.
Anybody else have a problem?
I can share my screen.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you.
That'd be great.
So do you want to give some context for
Yes.
for this?
So through that meeting, those meetings with the strategic planning people, and also with our liaison and the selectmen, Chelsea, we came up with some job descriptions after talking with them and after sitting down for weeks about what those jobs should entail, or descriptions of those jobs. And so what Sarah is showing you is what we've come up with, not what we've come up with, but the strategic planning people and with Chelsea's help.
I would just add, that we're sharing this, but that there's room for conversation. So I think some things are not negotiable, like calling for votes and things, but that if there's feedback, there's room for conversation, I guess is what I wanted to say.
Right. And it's also, what they came up was that the board should be taking a more active role. So here it is.
I have a question. Well, we're just looking at the chair's description right now, but I was thinking about approving $250 about convening. I know we voted on this before, but then when I was reading it today, I was wondering how often and how many times within a fiscal year can that happen? So, because the reason why I'm thinking this is, say the department wanted to spend $750, then the chair could say, well, let's just break it up into 3 payments, and then we don't have to convene for that out of convenience. So I think that needs to be defined a little bit more.
What's the point of convening? In other words, to discuss the expense?
So that the board would approve the expenditure.
I know, I would be, the way it's written now, I would never approve anything larger than that without talking to you, and I would never try and break it up into 3 payments, but.
Sure, but these are job descriptions that are going to go down through the years. So we need to kind of close any loopholes this way,
Well,
So-
can I ask a question? Sarah, when you have a budget and you have an item that you need to buy, like say you need to buy I don't know what, copy paper, and it's, I don't know, 400 and something dollars is the order from the distributor. And you send a bill into the townhouse for that, is that correct?
We process what's called a payable,
Yeah.
which we have certain vendors that we work with, and we order things. So let's say paper, for example, which we don't wouldn't ever be 400 something dollars, but also we don't need to order paper because it comes through the facilities department. But let's just use that example.
Okay.
So we would order it through WB Mason, and they would supply us with an invoice after our order. And then we submit the invoice along with a form that's called a payable to the accounting department.
So
the
your board does not need to sign off on any of those, because in the library, every bill that Ryan does, some member of the board has to sign off on it before it goes to the townhouse to get paid.
Okay,
that's a different system, right?
I would be surprised if that's the case, only because there's a spot on the form that says department head signature, and that's all it requires.
Okay.
If the library has set up another system, that's totally fine. We could do that, but that would really hamper our ability. You know, our expenses are like $25 for Post-its. You know, they're not.
Right.
So just to maybe go back to Beth's question about how often that happens, I think only once this entire year have I reached out to Sue to ask her approval on spending anything from the donation account. We don't often spend money from the donation account. I know we've had conversations about doing more with the donation account, but this year, the only thing I asked Sue's approval on was if we could have an appreciation lunch for our intern who spent 500 something hours with us and finished her internship. So I spent $70 out of the donation account, and that was it.
What about your town budget money? That's because see, the library buys books all the time. They spend thousands and thousands of dollars on books every month, right? So a member of the library board has to sign off on that expense before it goes up to the townhouse.
Okay, we're not required to do that. As I said, I know for our purposes right now, we're just talking about the donation account, but if you wanted to include something related to the operating budget, we could do that, but we are never spending thousands of dollars on anything.
It's different, right? So it would just be the chair who would sign it then. If it was.
Yeah, and as it stands, we don't currently have the chair sign off on operating budget expenses.
Right. So this is the donation fund, guys. That's there.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, the reason I actually brought this to the board because I had no oversight on me with regard to donation account expenses, and I wanted there to be some. So I brought this forward a few years ago to say, could you all be involved in approving this so that I'm not just operating on my own with making decisions about how to spend this money. So this can certainly change. Maybe, you know, to respond to Beth's concern, maybe there's just needs to be some added language about, you know, larger payments cannot be broken up into smaller payments, you know, something like that. Or if you want the amount to be less, like the chair can approve $100 or less without convening the board. But I would just hesitate. I actually don't know. I think it would be a big pain in the neck for any one of you to have to get a phone call from us every time we needed to order something from WB Mason, or, you know, I'm happy to maybe, I know I share with you all in the director's report what the current standing is of our operating budget, but if we wanted to assign a board member to look at that in more detail on a weekly basis, versus signing off on it, because I would worry about holding up business for
I don't-
something.
I don't think that's necessary, and
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, Marguerite. I don't think you were asking for it to go in that direction. I think you were just clarifying because the library does require certain operating expenses to go.
And
Board.
it's an elected board as opposed to an appointed board, so it's different. I think I think whatever you're spending, Sarah, shows up in your expense report, so that if it was getting out of control, it would show up there. I don't see that you need to be micromanaged with.
I agree. I think our job is not micromanaging small expenditures.
Yeah, exactly.
I trust that Sarah and her staff can make those decisions appropriately.
So I wasn't saying it should be voted on. I was just wondering whether you vote, and you don't, obviously, because it's never really, abuse of this money has never been a problem, right?
Right. I am happy to, if it's helpful, I give you the current balances that are in each line item, but in the monthly report, I'm happy to itemize what the money was spent on in each of those line items, if that's helpful.
I don't care. I trust you.
I don't think that's necessary.
So that's not really what this was for, though. This is
No,
not
we're
for
talking about the
month-
donation account.
Yeah, we're not talking about the regular operating
Yep.
budgets of the
Yep.
of the department. We're talking about this, special purchases or
Mhm.
unusual purchases.
Yeah,
But
but
I,
to bring up, to just respond that, yes, that's what we're talking about, but Marguerite or somebody may think that that it might be useful to add something additional about the operating budget, and it sounds like you all are okay with not adding something about that.
Yeah, I don't think you need to, frankly, but that's just my 2 cents.
I agree. It's not necessary. I like the way what you report on as it is, the way it is.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
but she already asked for the chair to sign off without convening the board on expenses that are outside of the normal operating budget.
Under
So-
$250.
Correct. So my question is, how often or how many times during the fiscal year could this possibly happen? Or is it just whatever?
I
That's-
think there's no limit to the number as long as there's money in the account. It says the donation account balance is 9,600 currently, so.
So Beth, what is your concern?
So
I'm trying to
I
understand.
just feel like it's not fully defined, really. But
In
if
what way?
everyone's-
I'm not understanding what you're.
So say by chance we get, out of some kind of situation, we end up with a new director and she thinks or he thinks, wow, I can spend $250 without convening the board, and just, does. So I think it might need to be more fully, I just think it leaves it open. I like maybe there should be a little bit more boundaries there.
Yeah, but Beth, if that should happen, we'd be meeting monthly and we look at the donation account monthly. And if we saw some kind of,
Like an irregularity, right?
yes, I think we would, be able to note that in due time. So I think,
So everyone feels that the monthly review is sufficient.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I just
That's all-
would like
that's
to
all.
add to that myself or any director wouldn't be able to just do it for under $250, that it would have to be run by the chair first. And the chair would be able to see, okay, this is happening a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
And really, that was the only time, Beth, was that one reach out to me for the interns.
I'm just
Yeah,
looking
no,
through.
I'm not concerned about what is currently happening. I was just thinking that these are descriptions that are going to go down through the years, and that, you know, we should close any loopholes that we might see. But if everyone's fine with a monthly review, that's fine.
I think the monthly review is a good check and balance on the budget for that.
Sue.
Yeah.
I mean, I know everybody can read, but could we go through each of these items for the chair?
Sure.
Just to, would you be willing to?
Okay, so the chair is going to host and conduct all the board meetings and take a more, it doesn't say, it's going to take a more active role than what I've been doing. And the chair is going to work with the SYFS director to schedule meetings, set calendar at beginning of fiscal year, and coordinate meetings outside that schedule. Also approve expenses for the donation account for under $250 without convening of the entire board. Conduct the director performance evaluation and attend corresponding personnel board meetings if needed.
Can I just mention that typically that's not been required for performance evaluations, that the personnel board has not needed people to attend those. So that's why it says if needed.
Could I ask a question about the performance evaluation? Is it done that everybody on the board receives a form, fills it out, and then those all go to the chair, to whoever that is, to collate it, and then they bring it back to the board, and then the board all agrees on whatever they've decided as the evaluation, then that goes to the, you for your comment on it, and then that goes to the personnel board? I mean, how is your evaluation done?
Right now, it's just between Sue and I, and frankly, you know, Sue, you should chime in, feel free to, but it's been a little confusing. So technically, performance evaluations cannot be discussed in the context of open meeting law. And so if the board is convening to discuss a performance evaluation, that's problematic. We did talk with Chelsea about this to see, because I know that the board would love to have input, and I would value, and I'm sure any other director would value, the input of the entire board, and I'm sure the chair of the board would value more input. So we did ask questions about that. There was some legal guidance that Betsy Rosenblum had shared with us about how to navigate performance evaluation in the context of open meeting law, and the preliminary guidance that we kind of got was that it's easier or cleaner to have it be just through the chair and the employee. Although I have heard of other departments having every member of the board fill out their own evaluation and giving their evaluation to the chair, so that the chair can use that. So it's not happening in an open meeting law discussion, but rather every board member is giving their feedback and sharing it with the chair so that the chair can take all of that information to make their final performance evaluation.
Isn't that the way we've always done it in the past?
Hey, that's what I believe.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
We did one version of that in April or March of 2020.
We definitely did that last year.
Don't know what the outcome, you know, never heard anything more about it. But that was the last time that we did anything like that I'm aware of.
Yeah. So that's definitely something that we've been looking for some more guidance on.
Yeah, that was really hard. I couldn't fill it out because so many of the questions were on, you know, how things operate on a daily basis. And we only see you a couple of hours a month. So it was very difficult to really fill it out for me.
Yeah, there were several questions on that you wouldn't know if you were aboard.
Yeah,
So you
right.
just have to say, I can't answer it, I can't answer it. But
Well, maybe perhaps that's not how you collect information for, for the chair to put into a performance evaluation of the director. I think you don't use the exact same form because obviously it's not applicable to what our observations are. So I think you would just probably, maybe have everybody write up 5 strengths, 5 weaknesses, whatever, but we could create some other input mechanism to.
This personnel evaluation is being changed again, I think, but it has some really good parts in it. It has really good parts about leadership and communication, and it's fairly simple, it seemed to me. And there were some areas where you couldn't answer it, but there were a lot of areas that were really good questions.
Yeah.
And I think it was useful to have everybody's input that could be used to put it together, like a master copy together.
So we could get more guidance on that, and the chair, we could send the form out before it's due, and then the chair and maybe the co-chair and the director could coordinate. Oh, actually, not the director.
So Jim Hegarty told me that discussions of performance evaluations cannot be done in executive session. In other words, they have to be done publicly.
Huh.
Not privately.
Yeah.
That's opposite of what Sarah.
Yeah, that's the opposite.
I know, but that's what Jim said to us. You can't do it in executive session unless the person is having terrible job performance problems, health problems, or mental health problems. Then you can do it not publicly, not in a public meeting. It sounds counterintuitive, but that's what he said.
Yeah, that sounds
right.
Executive decision too, or executive, when you go into that type of session, though, that's different as well, right? So I don't think we've ever done that.
Yeah, no, it means no public can hear what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe we can table this for another time on how those can be conducted.
I agree. I think
we have to get through.
Hey, Sarah, when is the evaluation due? Is that
we just finished it.
Okay.
So
all right. So we're good for a year.
We're good for a year.
I think that it is an important thing that we should have a discussion about, but I agree. I think for now, we're good, and we can put our thoughts together and maybe put it on as an item come January.
Yeah, really, it was really good, Sarah, right?
I hope so.
It should be.
Okay, let's go down to, if we'll table that and let's go down to the next item. We'll call for votes during meeting, roll call vote on Zoom, including adjournment, which is a good thing to learn. Entertain a motion, chair or any other member. Example, I make a motion to. Chair asks for a second. If no one speaks up, second. Discussion, chair, I open it up to discussion. After discussion, if motion should not continue, motion maker, I withdraw my motion, or continue with roll call vote if applicable, roll call if on Zoom, remote, hybrid, or if all in person, all in favor, all opposed. During the meeting, adhere to agenda topics and keep the conversation on track. Approve any remote participation outside of COVID for any member of the Youth Commission. If public comment is on the agenda, ensures no discussion ensues as a result of the comment if the topic is not on the agenda. Very important.
Yeah.
Ensure board members adhere to OML by not deliberating outside of meetings, including emails. When communicating with members, ensure each member has town email and uses it. Participate in an agenda setting meeting 1 week prior to each board meeting with vice chair, the director, and the admin assistant. Prepared agendas include date, time, location, and all topics to be discussed. Agendas need to be posted with the clerk's office at least 48 business hours in advance of the meeting.
Does the chair need to solicit agenda items from all the board members?
Well, Christina has been asking, as you guys have seen, if there's something we wanted to add to it. And then when the chair and the co-chair sit down with Sarah, we can go through what the board may want added to the agenda and talk about that and make sure that when the chair goes in, and if the chair is ill and can't participate, we talked about this a lot, bringing the co-chair in so he or she is also aware of what's on the agenda and is prepared to speak about it, just in case.
I would add that I'd be happy to, or at least I would think it might make sense to invite Christina or whoever the admin assistant is to those agenda setting meetings so that discussion can happen and she can sort of transcribe the agenda as the discussion is happening and continue to solicit agenda items from the rest of the board to bring to those meetings. Just a thought.
I agree. Do you want me to continue with vice chair or no?
Sure.
I say yes.
The vice chair's responsibilities. You fill in for the chair's responsibility in his or her absence. Participate in an agenda setting meeting 1 week prior to each board meeting with the chair, the SYFS director, and SYFS admin assistant. Prepared agendas include date, time, location, and all topics to be discussed. Agendas need to be posted with the clerk's office at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting. And then for the third office or officer is the secretary. You'll take notes at board meetings, type up minutes and send to the entire board, the SYFS director and SYFS admin assistant 1 week ahead of subsequent meetings. Once meetings are approved at the subsequent meeting, send minutes to town clerk's office within 45 days of a posted meeting. Minutes shall include the date, time, and place of the meeting, members present or absent, and attachments of all documents discussed at the meeting. If the actual document cannot be attached, the location of the document needs to be listed in the meeting minutes. If the minutes cannot be approved prior to the 45 days after the meeting, a draft version shall be posted until approved. Asking them to post the meeting and CCing the SYFS staff, board members, and FSYS president a week before the meeting. Send a friendly reminder to board secretary. Oops, did I get these out of order? Nope, sorry, I should not have read that. That was the end of the admin assistant's job description. I apologize. The last part of the secretary's responsibility is a draft version shall be posted until approved.
Do you want to go through, so those are the three positions that need to be voted on tonight. There's also a listing of what's asked of all board members. So I don't know if you want to cover that.
Yeah, I'll cover that. For all board members, you must attend the youth commission meetings. You must review the minutes from the previous meeting sent from the board secretary before the subsequent meeting to suggest edits and formulate questions and follow-up. Review the director's report ahead of time sent from the SYFS department before the subsequent meeting for questions and follow-up. Contains previous month activities by the SYFS staff, preview of next month's activities, and monthly financial report / budget updates and statistics. Next one, attend occasional Board of Selectmen, Advisory Committee, and outreach meetings. Understand and comply with open meeting law. Complete state ethics test yearly online. Help set goals in conjunction with the YFS department. Support programs and activities which raise awareness. Volunteers to complete tasks as requested by the SYFS director. Participate in programs as needed. Utilize town email accounts so that personal email accounts are not subject to public record requests. Do not deliberate on email outside of meetings. So how do you feel about all that?
Sounds good.
I think we're doing most of that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good to have it written down too, right?
Yeah,
Do you want me to go over Sarah's position and Christina's position?
yeah.
Okay, the SYFS director with the board, he or she will attend Youth Commission board meetings, participate in an agenda setting meeting 1 week prior to each board meeting with the chair, vice chair, and SYFS admin assistant. Prepared agendas include date, time, location, and all topics to be discussed. Agendas need to be posted with the clerk's office at least 48 business hours in advance of the meeting. Write the director's report to include with board meeting packet. Contains previous month activities by SYFS staff, preview of next month's activities, and monthly financial reports / budget updates and stats. Solicits volunteers to help with tasks to support the department. For the SYFS admin assistant, reserve a virtual or in-person meeting room. Send out board meeting reminder email to board members to confirm attendance and ensure a quorum 2 weeks prior to the meeting. Email board secretary to request minutes from previous board meeting if needed 2 weeks before the meeting. Email SYFS director to request director's report for board meeting packet 2 weeks before meeting. Participate in an agenda setting meeting 1 week prior to each board meeting with the chair, vice chair, and SYFS director. Prepared agendas include date, time, location, and all topics to be discussed. Agendas need to be posted with the clerk's office at least 48 business hours in advance of the meeting. Ask friends of Southborough Youth Commission president for any agenda items 2 weeks before the meeting. And last but not least, finalize the agenda and meeting packet, agenda, director's report, minutes from previous meeting, and any accompanying documents being discussed, and send it to the meetings at southboroughmass.com.
There's one more page that just has a couple more.
Oh, one more thing.
Sorry. Asking them to post the meeting and CCing the SYFS staff, board members, and FSYC president a week before the meeting. This is the last one. Send friendly reminder to board secretary to post approved meeting minutes with the town clerk's office 1 week after board meeting.
Or an unfriendly reminder.
Stop.
Get those notes. Yeah, there was a typo. It said the president of the board, president of the youth commission or something like that.
Oh, did it say that?
Yeah. I didn't know we had any president.
That was the president of Friends.
Friends.
Oh,
okay.
president of Friends, sorry.
Okay, all right.
If I didn't say that, I apologize.
Well, that was a lot to take in. I think it's great that it delineates everything that, because I think we've all been trying to grow into this role, but with very little explanation of what our job response or our board responsibilities are and would be. So I think this is a really helpful document, and it gives deadlines and expectations. So I applaud the effort. So
And I think anyone that is recruited, I know you're working on a description, but should also be referred to that document so they
Yeah, I
can
agree.
review it and know.
Very good, Leslie.
responsibilities
Very
are.
good.
One
I
second.
think
let my
that's
dog in.
important as well. And I want everyone to know that I'm not leaving the board. I'm not going to be an officer, but I would be, or I don't want to be an officer, because I think I should give somebody else a chance. But I'm willing to help at any time, any day that you need me. So I just want you to know that you can call me anytime. Now, who would like to volunteer for one of those officer positions? We'll start out that way.
Well, in my personal opinion, I love my secretarial role. And now that I know when things are expected of me, hopefully I can meet those deadlines. I've been on the board for a long time, and I would love to embrace another role, but I don't think I have the bandwidth right now for it. I sit on 2 other boards besides this one, and regarding mental health issues and autism and other issues near and dear to my heart. So people are calling me now. So I'd like to stick with, I would like to be nominated for my secretarial job.
All right, I move to nominate Sarah Mikas as secretary of the Youth Commission.
I second that.
Leslie
Aye.
Haddon, Marguerite Landry,
Aye.
Sarah Mikas,
Aye.
Subaka I, Susan Byer. Oh, you're muted, I think. That's okay. Still muted. Do this, or okay. Lauren
Aye.
and Beth.
Aye. Sue Sarah does
Congratulations.
a wonderful, wonderful job. She's always,
Yes, you do a great job,
yeah.
Sarah.
Congratulations, Sarah.
Thank you. I can't wait to make you proud.
Oh,
You already do.
have.
You do.
Yeah.
Okay. How about chair or vice chair?
Can I nominate Lauren for chair?
Yes, you can. Lauren, how do you feel about that?
I'd be glad to help out in any way. If there's anyone who's been on the board longer than me and would like to do this, I feel like any one of us would be in a good role for that.
All right. I think I'd like to nominate Lauren for the chair position of Youth and Family, the Youth Board, Youth Commission.
I'll second.
Leslie Haddon,
Aye.
Marguerite Landry,
Aye.
Sarah Mikas,
Aye.
Subaka I, Susan Bear,
Aye.
and Beth Dombacher. Beth?
Suddenly a lag. Yeah, aye. There's suddenly a lag. Like,
Oh,
people were
sorry.
saying aye before their name was being called.
Oh, sorry about that. Congratulations, Lauren.
Well, thank you. This is a surprise.
It usually is.
But
You'll be great.
be looking forward to taking on that role. So thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Laura.
Thank you
That's
so
wonderful.
much. Okay,
Can I nominate Beth Dumbacher for vice chair? Or
Beth, how do you feel about that?
So I wanted to ask this question before, but I forgot. How long are the offices held for?
1 year, and then
1
we do
year?
it all over again.
So yes, I would accept that.
Okay, so I nominate Beth Domberger for vice chair.
Second,
Leslie Haddon,
Aye.
Marguerite Landry,
aye.
Sarah Mikas,
Aye.
Sue Bucka, aye. Susan Bear,
Aye.
and Lauren Ritchie.
Aye.
And Beth?
Thank you,
Thank
you.
you.
everyone.
Great.
Thank you so much, you guys.
New officers, yay.
Well, thank you for your service
Wonderful.
to the group, both Leslie and Sue. I think we've made huge progress under your directorships and your guidance, and we really appreciate your service to the group. I'm just really very proud of how we have evolved over time. I don't even remember how long I've been on the board, but it's been a while. And when I took the job, I met with Lori and I was like, really, I came from corporate. So I'm like, so I need to understand exactly, this and that. And she's like, just come to the meeting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's it? Okay. So I just really feel like we're in a great place to move forward to and embrace the future, which it will, hopefully we will have more influence on how the mental health and other needs outreach for the community is done. So I'm
I
proud.
like what you said, Sarah, because we have evolved, right? We started with such a small group, and when I first joined, it was Megan and Lori. I mean, Megan and Lori, Sarah and
Sarah and
Lori.
It might have been because Megan was covering my maternity leave. So.
I think. Well, I remember finding out that you were pregnant.
No, but I forgot there was a point when it was me and Lori, but you were there before.
Yeah. So, anyway, I will be available for anybody that wants any help. I want to still be involved, very much so. So I appreciate you all stepping up. The whole board, I appreciate you stepping up.
As do I. And this has been such a great honor for me and privilege to work with all of you. You've all brought something unique to this group, and I really appreciate it. I'll miss it, but I'm going to really try to stay involved.
You have to come, Leslie.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to Sarah, or because I don't know if I'll continue my town email, but maybe they can if I'm involved in Friends. So we'll figure it out.
Okay, I'll try and find the answer to that, or
Yeah.
Lauren will.
Well, and you'll be a great contributor, Leslie, I know, on the Friends program. Which
She already has been. She already has
really needs.
It's been limited during Zoom, but
commandeer it and give it some direction. So
And Sue, thank you for all the enormous amount of advocacy you have done during the last 3 years.
Thank you, Marguerite. It was way out of my comfort zone, so I learned an awful lot. So
I think you grew into the role. I was just watching you tonight on my little Zoom, and I kept thinking, wow, Sue has really evolved too. So
thank you so much. Thank you. You guys are awesome. The best board ever.
You've been a wonderful chair.
Thank you.
you
Thank
really
you.
have.
Does anybody else have anything, or do we need to be talking about the strategic planning a little bit more, Sarah, or?
I just want to, it's not that I'm presenting anything. I hope that wasn't misleading, but as I said earlier, the strategic plan presentation, we need to settle on a date for that.
Okay,
I would like to do it virtually so that we can record it and share it afterward. So rather than discuss dates right now, I think I'll ask Christina to send a doodle poll out about that as well. So just look for 2 doodle polls from her. I know that might get confusing. So one is going to be about meetings for the summer, and the other will be about the strategic plan presentation. And that's it.
okay, thank you. I make a motion to adjourn this meeting
A second.
of the Youth Commission. Leslie Hadden, one more
Aye.
time. Marguerite Landry,
Bye.
Sarah Mikas,
Aye.
Sue Bucka, aye. Susan Bear,
Aye.
Lauren Ritchie,
Aye.
and Beth Domberger.
Aye.
All right, guys, congratulations.
Do I get a little pin or anything?
Yeah, yes.
I'll work on that.
90 years of service.
Good
Thanks
night,
so much,
everybody.
everybody. Have a good
See
night
you
and
in a
stay
month.
cool.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good
Night.
June.